Hello, welcome to the Yarn and Yarns YouTube channel. My name is Angela. You can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as Rainbow Ange. You can also find an Instagram account and a Facebook page for Yarn and Yarns, which is my little bricks and mortar yarn shop based in South Wales, just outside of Cardiff in the UK, in a little town called Penarth. Here on the channel you will find videos which consist mostly of me chatting about my knitting and crochet projects, sometimes a little bit of spinning, and also sometimes a little bit about my adventures of being a yarn shop owner. I had to think about that then because I used to say new yarn shop owner, but my year anniversary's just ticked round, so still relatively new but not so brand new anymore, which just seems absolutely crazy to me. A very big welcome to anyone who is coming back to join me, who's watched my previous videos, and also a very warm welcome to anyone who might be joining me for the first time. We've had a few new subscribers recently, which is fantastic. We're still a really small channel, so it's nice to know that there's a few people out there joining me as I sit here and waffle, and I'm not just sat here on my own talking to myself. But sorry about the background noise. I'm recording at home this morning. It's Monday morning for me at the minute, and my cat's wandering around meowing because she wants to go out, but I've got to disappear off to work soon, so she won't be going out, but it just means that we'll have to put up with her noise, so I'm sure you can hear that. Anyway, what was I saying? I think someone might have mentioned me because we've had some new subscribers, so I'm a little bit behind on my podcast viewing at the moment, so thank you if it was you, and maybe let me know below if you've mentioned me in one of your videos so that I can give you a proper thank you. So on to the content of the video today. I've got my projects to show you while I'm here at home, and then it's been a little while since I have chatted about any of the new things that we've had in the shop, so later on today, if I get time, I will probably record a segment at the shop just chatting about some of the new yarns and patterns and project books that we've had in recently, and I'll probably also show you the window display because that's new. I changed that on Friday. Although if you follow Yarn and Yarns on Instagram, I put on a story which was kind of a little journey of what goes on when we change the windows. So you might have already seen a little bit about that. Anyway, for my projects this week, I have got a couple of finished objects to talk to you about and a couple of works in progress. I've been reasonably monogamous for me, so yeah, it's nice because I'm getting things done. But also will probably make for a slightly shorter YouTube video. I usually have lots of projects to talk about, but anyway, I'm sure I'll manage to waffle on about the ones that I do have. Before I talk to you about my new finished objects, I'm going to talk to you quickly about some of the objects that featured last time. So first of all, you might notice I am wearing my At Dawn shawl. This has now been blocked. I didn't block it as aggressively as I had planned, but it's definitely grown. It's really stretched out, which is nice. This is a pattern by Joji Locatelli. It's in one of the interpretations books published by Pom Pom. I believe it might be Interpretations 1, although you can pop back on the last video if you want all the details on that. And also a link to the pattern will be on my Ravelry project page. I made this from two lovely yarns. The grey is Fibre Space Vivacious 4-ply, and then the gorgeous multicoloured yarn is from Yantan Tetherer. But again, I won't chat too much about that because I talked to you all about that in the last video. The only difference between then and now is, as I say, I've actually blocked the shawl out, but I'm wearing it today, lovely and squishy and cosy, and I love the deep grey against all of the multis. I think it will pretty much go with anything and everything, so yeah, I'm really excited to be able to wear that. And secondly, I also wanted to show you I have finished my broadleaf hat, which is a pattern that I test knit for the lovely Ellie, who is Tith and Bryn, and the thing that I had left to do was put on a button, which I have now done. And I chose this little heart button which I had in my stash. Almost went for a plain button, but then I thought actually this heart's got sort of like the wooden background which reflects obviously the colours up here, and also there are a few specks of blue. That's not really showing up too well. I think you can just about see it. So yeah, I think that's quite a cute little final addition for that hat. So that's now finished and I can wear that, which is fantastic. Although it has been getting a little bit warmer here. I wore a hat out on Saturday. Ooh, it was hot. So yeah, sadly, I think we're coming to the end of hat wearing season. But, well, sadly in some ways, but, you know, we all like spring and summer, so. Nice warm weather is also welcome, although it does mean a lot of the woolies have to get put away. Rambling. Okay, so on to new finished objects, that ones that you haven't seen before. So for the first one, I don't actually have the project with me. It's my Florabelle shawl, which is a pattern published by West Yorkshire Spinners to accompany their new signature 4-ply, which is the Forest collection. I made mine in 2 colours. It's now hanging in the shop window, so I don't have that to show you. I'll pop in a couple of pictures here. Over there, and you may get to see this a little bit later if I remember to show you the shop window. As I say, the shawl is now hanging up in the shop window and it's had quite a lot of attention. A couple of my customers have purchased pattern and yarn to make their own, which is brilliant because they've gone for completely different colours, and I think 2 of them have gone for different yarns as well, so I think they've gone for cotton yarns. So I'm really excited to see different iterations of that shawl as they start to grow, and yeah, it's really fun. I love seeing what everyone else is making. Sorry, the noisy cat is back. To the second finished object, that is one that I do have with me, and they are my beach hut socks. So this is a gorgeous pattern by Zoe, who is Pins and Needles UK, and I have been working on these for a shamefully long time. Well, when I say working on them, that's not quite true. When I look back on my Ravelry project page, I actually cast these on for my birthday, which was August last year, and I've only just finished them, which is just nuts because they're gorgeous. I love them. They just kind of got a little bit forgotten about, I think. I started them last summer and then other things just took over, and I did my crazy 12 cast-ons at Christmas, and yeah, these just sat in a project bag languishing away a little bit. But after I picked them up, they got done in no time. They were just a really addictive little knit. So when I last showed you, I believe I may have had 1 sock completed, and when I picked these up, I just had 1 leg of a sock completed. So as you can see, I have raced through those, and they are now finished and ready to wear, which is really exciting. So the main colour on these socks is a Rowan Fine Art yarn. It's a discontinued yarn. It's lovely and soft. I've never knit with it before. I've got a few skeins in my stash. I've had this one, and I've got a deep purple and then a sort of corally pinky one. I'll be interested to see how this wears because, as I say, it's quite a soft yarn, and I have noticed with the other socks that I've made, the softer the yarn, the easier that they pill and felt. So I tend to these days mostly stick with commercial brands like Opal and West Yorkshire Spinners for my socks. I'm quite hard on my socks. I wear them all the time, in boots, in shoes, just bare feet other than socks around the house. So they get, yeah, they get quite a lot of hardware. And some of the softer sock yarns don't stand up against that. I've not had any socks spring a hole or anything like that. The less soft yarns don't pill and felt as easily. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I chose this particular one because the colours just reminded me a little bit of sand on the beach. and then I added in some contrast minis. So the green is from Yantan Tetherer, the blue is a Cascade, the red is West Yorkshire Spinners, and the yellow is, I think, a mini from Easy Knits. So yeah, it's really fun colour work details for the beach huts. So this is definitely a great project if you have been thinking about colour work and just fancy dipping your toes in, because it's just stripes and then these few rows of stranded colour work. So yeah, lovely. One of my favourite details, I just love this stripy toe, just love it. That's crazy. I also talked to you last week about my love of this particular section here. It's a crazy little thing to like, so. So yeah, anyway, I can highly recommend this pattern if you fancy knitting yourself a pair of socks, and it's a fun reminder of the beach all year round. Okay, so that's it for finished objects. I've got a couple of works in progress to show you now. I've been fairly monogamous with my knitting this week, and in the main I have been working on my one-way tee. The one-way tee is a pattern by Debbie O'Neill, and it was published in an issue of Interweave Knits, I think spring 2015. I don't have the pattern right in front of me, it's not sure where it is at the minute. But yeah, I think that's the detail. Again, I have a Ravelry project page if you are interested in finding out more. So when I last showed you this project, I was working on the front of the tee, which is now finished. So last time I was down here where this marker is. So as you can see, I have knit all the way up the front of the tee. It's a really fun little pattern. It's just like really simple lace. I'm not entirely sure if this is going to fit me. It may be slightly too small, but we shall soon see, because I'm almost at the point where I can seam it together. Because at the weekend I have been working on finishing that front up, and I've also got to the bit with, this is, as crazy as this sounds, these saddle sleeves were actually one of the reasons that I wanted to make this tee, because it just seemed like such a fun construction. So here is sleeve number 1. I know it doesn't look anything like a sleeve, does it? It looks more like a alien, or perhaps an elephant if I hold it that way. What am I doing? Maybe I'll cut that out, probably not. Now I can only see an elephant when I hold it like that. So yeah, this is a saddle sleeve, I believe it's called. That's what it's called in the pattern. So as you can see, a really short cap sleeve. This gorgeous lace detail runs all the way up. So when I come to join it, obviously I will be joining the front and the back to these bits, and this lacy bit will run along the top of shoulder. Very awkwardly modelled by me. I've lost it, haven't I? I don't know what I'm doing while I'm showing you this project. So sleeve number 1 is done, and sleeve number 2 is almost there. I had to stop knitting on this last night because the yarn is a wool cotton blend, and I'd been knitting on it for quite a while. I'd knit that sleeve and did this, and the cotton is obviously, it does have some stretch because it's a wool cotton blend, but I find cotton's much harder on my hands, so I had to stop. But I'm not too far away from going into that just panel of lace to make my elephant's trunk. So with any luck, this will be finished today, the knitting of it, and I can get to putting that together, and then it will be the moment of truth as to whether that actually will fit or not. The yarn I'm using is Debbie Bliss Mia, which, as it says, is a wool cotton blend. The colourway is 13, doesn't have a colour name, but as you can see, it's this bright, fun orange. Sadly, this yarn is also discontinued, but it's been quite nice to work with. It's a little bit splitty, but it's giving a nice fabric, and I think it will be a nice summer top if it fits. Okay, so the only other work in progress that I've got is a new one, and I started this last week. A very good friend of mine is having a baby girl in a few weeks' time, and she's asked me to make a few things. She's decorating her nursery with the rainbows and clouds sort of theme, so I'm making a really simple crochet ripple blanket in rainbow colours. I'm using Debbie Bliss Baby Cash Merino, and this is as far as I have got so far. So it's growing quite quickly. It's not the biggest, it's just designed to be a cot blanket. So I've made it about 30 inches wide. I've got 7 colours picked out, and I think I'll probably duplicate them to make it a reasonably long blanket. So obviously I've got red, orange, yellow, I've got blue, green, and then I've got a few purpley colours to finish the end. So not quite a traditional rainbow, but it definitely will have that rainbow effect. And this is a really nice, easy project. I'm mainly, apart from a couple of rows of the yellow, which I did yesterday after I put down the one-way tee, I have been working on this in the shop. It's a really mindless ripple pattern. So it's great to work on when I've got groups and classes, because it's one that I can easily just pick up and put down. And last Thursday, I started this last Wednesday, and I have 2 groups in the shop on Wednesday, and despite the fact that the afternoon group needed a fair bit of help with their various projects, I managed to get that first stripe done. And then on Thursday is also a 2 group day. I managed to get the orange stripe done. So yeah, it's a fairly, well, hopefully it'll be a fairly quick project, even though I've got quite a few colours to put in. Nothing really much to say about that. There's no pattern. I just looked up a ripple stitch for the crochet just to remind myself how to do that. It's really simple. It's just treble crochets all the way along in various forms. So I don't, yeah, as I say, no pattern, so I'm not giving away any secret sauce, but start off at the edge of the row by doing 5 trebles, so 2 into the first stitch, then 3 trebles into each of the next stitches, and then treble 3 together, another 3 single treble stitches, and then 3 trebles into 1 stitch to create your dip and your peak. And basically you just follow that all the way along. So yeah, treble 3 together, 3 single trebles, 3 trebles into 1 stitch, 3 single trebles, treble 3 together, blah, 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 all the way along. So yeah, hopefully that will be a nice fun addition for my friend's nursery when I get that finished. I'm hoping to crack on with that, and hope to get it done within the next couple of weeks. Baby's due sometime in May, so, and I also want to make her a little dress. She's having a baby girl, so I'd like to make her a dress and perhaps a couple of little hats. So yeah, it'd be nice to get cracking and get that blanket finished. That would be the biggest thing that I would like to send in the little box of gifts that I have planned for her. Okay, so I think that is pretty much it for finished objects, works in progress. The only other project that I will quickly talk to you about is what's coming up on my needles next. So I am, as you may know if you've been following me and watched my previous videos, I'm on a finish it kick at the moment. So I'm digging out some of my languishing whips. The one-way tee is a languishing whip, obviously. The beach hut socks were a languishing whip. So other than blankets, which, yes, they're whips, but I can't see myself actively working on those in the coming months. Hopefully we're getting into warmer weather, and I think having a blanket on my lap will be a bit too much. So other than blankets, my longest standing whip now is the Speckle Pop shawl, which was a mystery knit along from Stephen West last year. I followed along, I managed the first 2 clues, and then I got way behind and just gave up. But I saw someone on Instagram, I think her Instagram name is horsebike29 if I remember rightly. She recently posted that she'd won a prize at like a local show or fair for her speckle pop shawl, and it's kind of inspired me to pull mine out, and it's really next on the to-do list anyway. So I'm not really showing you this as a work in progress yet, because literally I've added one row, which I did yesterday, but that, believe me, took me a good hour or so, probably, in between doing other. We were playing a game on, well, we were playing Final Fantasy. We're playing our way through Final Fantasy X-2 for any gamers out there. So I was taking a few turns on that in between knitting this row, but it took me forever, and yeah, I now have 822 stitches and 62 stitch markers on this project, if you can believe it. So I'm just starting section 3, which is the brioche section, but I just thought I would show you this because it's what's coming up next. I think it's still going to take me forever to finish this, so this is where I am so far. So I didn't choose a massively high contrast for my yarns. So you have 3 main colours. If I show you in this chevron stripe section here, my first main colour is from Little French Meadow, and I think it's called Ants Spoil the Picnic. And then in the middle, you can sort of see how that changes from grey to colourful speckles, and I think that was Life in the Long Grass. And then my final main colour, which is the more saturated speckles, if you can see it down here, lighter speckles, more saturated, and that was another Little French Meadows. I think it's called Paris Nights, something like that. But all the details again over on my project page on Ravelry. So yeah, I finished this sort of huge eyelet section, put my thumb through there, and yeah, just picked up and knitted along there, inserting all these markers for the brioche section. I have no idea why we need all of these markers. As I say, there is 62. When it said in the pattern you need 62 markers, I was like, oh, who's got 62 markers? So I grabbed my main, listen to me, my main tin. I use, actually it's on the desk here, look. I use this little tin from Paper Chase, and as you can hear, there are still markers in there. So not only did I have 62 markers, I had 62 markers in one tin, and I've still got a couple of those tins elsewhere, so crazy. I have been lucky enough to receive quite a few markers, like in swap packages and stuff like that, so it's really fun actually, as I go along this project, and I come to all these different markers to think about the lovely friends that have gifted me these markers as I come to them. Yeah, it will be a real fun thing, I think. So yeah, that's what's coming up on the needles next. I imagine this will be reasonably slow progress. I think in the next row I decrease a few stitches, but I don't know, I haven't really read ahead. But I can't imagine it decreases by much, so I'm going to have 800 odd stitches per row. And it's like really difficult to show what this looks like. And although I've seen obviously lots of these finish now because the Mystery Cow ended ages and ages ago, I still can't quite see in my head how I get from this point to the shawl end point. Yeah, Stephen West's just funky construction, but yeah, I'm looking forward to working on this one again. It's really fun and colourful. As I say, I wish my main colours were a bit more contrasty, but you know, I've put in all this effort, I'm not going to go back and change it now. And I do like the neutrals against the fun, bright contrast yarns. I think the probably the most disappointing aspect of the non-contrasty main colours will be in this next section. So it's 2-colour brioche, and I don't think my colours are fairly similar, so I'm not convinced that they will make the most amazing brioche. When I say fairly similar, they look very different on the screen, don't they? But I think the background colour is similar enough that the contrast in the brioche might not be the greatest, but we'll see. Okay, so I think that is everything for now. As I say, I will hopefully be back a little bit later on, if not today for me, then tomorrow, but it will be all the same to you, as I shall be just here in a second. But yeah, I'll record a little section from the shop before I finish this video and upload it. So yeah, see you again in a minute. And I'm back. It's as if I never went away. As you can see from the background, I am now in my shop, and it is, when is it? Monday afternoon. So I have a group in the shop, a class in the shop on Monday mornings, so that all went well. It was a busy class, and we had lots of people both knitting and crocheting. I've got 2 of my ladies are working on the Florabelle shawl. I've got a couple of ladies working on crochet blankets. And then another 2 who are knitting various shawls and scarves. So always a fun way to start the week. It's nice to have a nice busy shop first thing as well. But as promised, I am back to chat to you about some of the new yarns that we've got in the store. So if this is not something that's of interest to you, then I completely understand. So thank you for joining me for the first part of the video, and I hope you will come back again soon. If you have enjoyed the video, it would be lovely if you would like to give us a thumbs up or subscribe if you haven't already. It's a great way to help get some extra visibility for the podcast, if, as I say, you have enjoyed yourself. So on to the new yarns that we've got in the shop. If you are new to the channel, at the moment I don't have a website, but I am happy to send anything out anywhere in the world, mail order. So if you see anything and you'd like to support my little shop, then by all means get in touch by direct message, or you can email me, and the email address is yarn, so yarns@yahoo.com. I'm happy to send anything out. Postage for the UK, orders over £35 is free. Under that, obviously postage at cost, and postage at cost to anywhere else in the world as well. New yarns, we've had a few, which is really exciting. Oh, and I've just realised I've forgotten one. I'll grab that in a minute. So before I went on my trip to New Zealand, which you're probably fed up of hearing about, I hear myself say it all the time in these videos now. Oh, I've been on a trip, I went to New Zealand, yay me. So if I'm fed up of hearing myself say it, then I'm sure you are. But anyway, I went to a trade show up in Birmingham, Stitches, the trade show was called, and there were lots of fabric vendors in the main, I have to say, but also vendors for cross stitch and some yarn companies. So I decided to pop up there and have a look round. It was nice to see some of the companies that I already work with, but also nice to have a chat to a few potentially new suppliers, and I managed to get on board with 2 companies, both of which I'm very excited about. So I am happy to say that here at Yarn & Yarns we are now stockists of both West Yorkshire Spinners and some Bar Amu, which are both lovely British companies. So I've always wanted to get West Yorkshire Spinners into the store. It was one of the yarns that, yeah, I've always enjoyed working with, and I knew I wanted to stock it. But obviously it can be quite pricey to bring in a whole range of new yarns. So and if you can see behind me, we are pretty well stuffed to the gunnels. So as well as thinking about the financial implications, I also need to take into account my space limitations. We are a small shop, and there is literally no spare space. So if I want to bring in something new, I have to think about something that I will discontinue. Some of that happens naturally. So a lot of yarn companies, as you know, will change their lines. So by definition, there will be comings and goings all the time. But sometimes it's a conscious decision. So if a yarn's not selling, or if it's not something that I'm necessarily happy with the quality of, then I will discontinue that. So yeah, a year down the line, I figured it was about time to get some West Yorkshire spinners into the shop. So I have started with 3 of their yarn ranges, and I will show you them all. So I've got some Signature 4-ply, which is their lovely woolen nylon, perfect for socks, shawls, any 4-ply project really. I went for some of the Croft Shetland Tweed, which is a beautiful Aran weight yarn, quite a new one for West Yorkshire spinners. And then also, and if you've joined me before, you will have heard me harp on about this, my favourite breed specific yarn is Wensleydale, and West Yorkshire spinners have this beautiful 100% Wensleydale, and it's called Gems. I love this yarn. It's nice and sheepy, it's pretty soft, it does have a halo to it, so maybe if you are slightly sensitive to something like an alpaca, you might, because of the fluffiness, you might not get on with this, but I love it. I find it totally next to skin soft, and the colour range is beautiful. I'll show you a few more of the colours that I brought in. So that's what I've started with. I don't have the full range of colours, I will admit, in any of these lines because, again, money. But I've tried to pick up a range of different colours. So we'll chat about the Wensleydale first. So it's always nice to have some patterns to go along with the yarn. This is a DK double knit weight yarn, so you could substitute any double knit really with a bit of swatching, but as I say, always nice to have a few sample patterns. So I went for 3 sample patterns with this yarn. I'm just going to lean over so I can grab the third, sorry about that. And the reason I need to grab this is because I've started one of these. So this is the Esme shawl, which is a beautiful 2-colour shawl, really simple garter stitch and eyelet sections, and I've actually been commissioned to make 4 of these. I don't know if I mentioned this before, so yeah, I think I'm going to know how to do this pattern in my sleep, and it's really simple anyway, so but I have until Christmas, so I've got plenty of time. So that's the first pattern, Esme, and I'll show you actually how far I've got, although I am in the middle of a row, of course I am. So I've got the very beginnings of my Esme shawl here, and yeah, I'm working it in grey and pink, as you can see. So the grey is called Moonstone and the pink is Topaz. So I'll show you those in the skein. So, there we go. Beautiful colour combination, and obviously with my Florabella shawl that was also done in grey and pink, so there seems to be a theme going on. But the reason I've started this one straight away is because the person that's commissioned these shawls has requested 2 in this particular colour combination, so I thought I'd do one first and then I can do a couple of the other colours and then come back to the pink, so just to switch things up for me. Okay, so the other colours that I have in this are the Granite, which is the dark grey. I have Peridot, which is this beautiful green. I have got Amber, which is this deep rusty orange. I adore this one. Fire Opal, which is the bright orange. Can you tell I love orange? Couldn't resist. And then the final colour is Cobalt, which is this gorgeous blue. So yeah, I think you can pretty well see why this collection is called Gems. Look at those beautiful colours. As I say, there are more colours in the range, but with a new yarn I never bring in the full colour range. I try and get a good range just to see how it goes, and I'm happy to say this has been selling really well. So I will definitely reorder, and I might expand that colour range a little bit as well. So I mentioned that we have 3 patterns to go with that. So the second one is the jasmine shawl. I like to bring in shawl patterns. Not only are shawls really popular at the moment, they're a good way to try out a new yarn if you're unsure. Buying a couple of skeins for an accessory is much more affordable than buying a garment's quantity if you've not used the yarn before and you're just dipping your toe, not sure if you're going to like it. So, and then the third pattern is a garment pattern. Oh, I just adore this. This is called Harriet, and it's a beautiful 2-colour cardigan which uses the deep grey and obviously the fire opal bright orange, but I think that would look equally nice. Sorry, interruption there. I was talking about the Harriet pattern, and yeah, I think any of those beautiful jewel tones would stand up beautifully against that deep grey background, but I think quite easily you could swap it round and, you know, pick any sort of colour combination. I mean, those two, woo, that would be beautiful, wouldn't it? So yeah, they are the 3 patterns that I have bought in to go with that particular yarn. So on to the next, which is the Croft, and it's a beautiful Aran weight yarn, as I said, and I have got 6 colours, 5 colours of the Croft. So I'll show you all of the colours quickly together. So it's a beautiful, beautiful tweedy yarn. The reason I went for these 3, which are all purpley colours, they go from light to dark. So that one's mostly grey with purple flecks, and then this one you've got that light grey background, but you get the darker purple and the pink flecks, and then the final one is much more saturated and you get pink, purple, and there's some greens in there as well. The reason I went for those 3 is because West Yorkshire Spinners were kind enough to send me a sample garment, and so in the shop I have one of these on a mannequin which utilises those 3 particular colourways, which are absolutely beautiful. And then I also went for these 2, which are more earthy. So this one's greens and this one's beautiful blues and rusts. So yeah, really love those. Those haven't been selling quite as well, but I can understand why. You know, it's an Aran weight yarn, and I think people are starting now to think about lighter weight garments and accessories. So I'm hoping that one will pick up as we go through the summer. But it comes with this beautiful pattern book if you so desire, and it's lovely. It's spiral bound, which I love because it's really easy to sit that on the desk flat in front of you, and you're not bending spines and pages falling out and that stuff. So yeah, absolutely gorgeous, and it's full of lovely patterns. I might actually do a little review of this book and perhaps the florist collection in a separate video, but for this one there are patterns for garments and a couple of accessories. So I'll just quickly show you, I won't chat too much. So garments and accessories, and then if I flip the page over, there are some more beautiful garments and some knits in this lovely yarn. And the other thing that I love about these books is they have the full colour range shown inside as well. So that's the full range of colours. So there's 8 colours altogether, and I have 5. So I don't have the pink or the blue and green on the end there. So yeah, that is the Croft Shetland Tweed yarn. And then the final yarn from West Yorkshire Spinners is the Signature 4-ply. I've gone in the majority for the florist collection, a new set of yarns, colourways in their Signature 4-ply. If you're familiar with West Yorkshire Spinners, they're quite famous for their British Birds collection, and I went for one colour of that. I went for the Wood Pigeon because it matches one of the solid colours that I went for. They also have the Cocktail range, which is self-striping sock yarn, which was also really popular a year or so ago, but I decided to go for the brand new because why not? It's always nice to have lovely new yarns. And I'm just going to show you the full colour range. So all of these I'm going to call them variegated. They're only 2 colours. They're like a pink and a cream, or a purple and a cream, blue and cream. But they're not self-striping or really self-patterning, but they all come with their own coordinating solid colour, which is great. So again, I went for a range. I didn't get the full range, but here it is on my basket. So I've got the blue, the pink, now the purpley, not quite purple. So this bright pink, dusky pink. This had a variegated companion, but I've sold out of all the variegated companions. That's been the most popular colour so far, so I need to get some more of that. I also went for the solid grey, which is the Dusty Miller colourway, and actually those 2 are the colours that I used in my Florabelle shawl. And then this colour is Penny Royal, which goes very well with the wood pigeon, which I haven't put in the basket because it's not one of the florist colourways. So I showed you the Florabelle pattern. There's also this pattern collection book that goes with the florist collection, and it is a mix of shawls and socks. They are all really lovely. In particular, I really like the sock patterns. They're all, you know, they're slightly different than a vanilla sock. So if I just show you, so there's a beautiful knit shawl. This is one of the sock patterns, which has lovely lacy detail, and then there's one with a kind of cable, really pronounced cabley sort of pattern. I don't know if it's cables or twisted stitches. I haven't really looked at the pattern. And then there's these really fun little ankle socks that have got these cute bobbles in one of the variegated colours. So yeah, that's a really fun book and pretty good value. £6.50 for 6 patterns. Yeah, so that is the florist collection. Don't know where to put it. I've got all this stuff piled up on my desk. So yeah, it's going pretty well so far. As I say, the gems and the signature 4-ply has been flying out of the door. The Shetland's a bit slower, but we have had a few sales of that, so I am hopeful. And there's been lots of comments about the lovely sample garment, so I'm hopeful that the sales for that will pick up soon as well. So when I'm looking for new yarns, I'm also, as well as looking for companies that I really want to work with, I'm also trying to fill gaps where I feel that we have got something missing in the shop. If you followed the journey from the beginning, you'll know that I just bought the shop as was, the stock as was, and so I've been slowly getting to know the stock over the last 12 months, and I'm at the point now where I'm going to try and whittle out some of the yarns that we've got that are pretty similar, mostly from a space perspective. It's good to have different price ranges, but you know, there's only so many wool double knits that you need, or wool acrylic double knits. I think I can definitely streamline some of the things that we've got in the shop. One of the things that I knew that we have got missing was there was nothing really that I would say was an out and out colour work yarn. Obviously you can do stranded colour work with any yarn whatsoever, but it's nice to have something really woolly and grabby. Colour work shows up to its best, I think, personally, when you have some lovely woolly yarn. So as I was wandering around the show, I went to the Bahram U stand, and I love Bahram U yarns. I have knit with their Dovestone DK and their Titus 4-ply in the past, but what lured me in was a new yarn that they have, and it is called Pip Colourwork. So it's 100% British yarn spun in Yorkshire. It's 4-ply, it's very fine. Reminiscent, I would say, of something like a Jameson and Smith's 2-ply jumper weight, or the Spindrift. I've knit with a Spindrift before. I made a colourwork hat for my mother-in-law a couple of Christmases ago, and this has got very much the same sort of hand as that. So I picked out a bunch of colourways in that. Unfortunately, the yarn had proved, well, fortunately for Bahram U, unfortunately for me, the yarn has proved so popular that they didn't have all of the colours that I wanted. So I am going to pop up the colours that I did manage to get my grubby little mitts on. So I've got this nice red, there's a green, there's the mustard, obviously a cream, grey, and oh, my favourite. But I am missing a blue. I think a nice blue would just round this selection off, but I think they were hoping to restock on this at some point this month in April, so with any luck I will get a couple more colourways of this. So I knit my arrow wristers from this, which I showed a couple of videos ago, and it is absolutely lovely for colour work. I think there was a couple of patterns that they had, mainly Ravelry based downloads, or I don't think they had any printed copies of them. But what I decided to do was actually purchase from them the Coop Knits Toasty books. So these books have been out for a little while, so you may have already seen these, so volume 1 and volume 2. Now these were originally designed using yarns from the Titus, Baramu Titus collection, which is another 4-ply yarn, but I thought that these would be easily translatable into the pip, so that's what I decided to do. So 2 beautiful books. Again, you may have already seen these because they have been out for some time, but I'll give you a quick flash of some of the projects in here. And a lot of the colourways seem to have, like, so for instance on this blue I know is called Bramley Baths because I knit with that in the Titus, and I believe that the blue in pip is also called Bramley Baths. So, and you can see orange, got that lovely red, got the cream. So yeah, I think that these patterns will be easily translatable, and I know they are because I already have a speedy customer who has knit a couple of hats out of this book in this yarn, and they are absolutely gorgeous. Look out on our Facebook page because she let me take a picture of those completed projects, so at some point in the next few weeks they will be popping up on Facebook. On a Friday on our Facebook page I always try and pop up finished projects that our customers have made. So if you ever buy yarn from us and you want to showcase your lovely work, then you can send me a picture of what you've made. And it's one of my favourite parts of owning a yarn shop is when customers come back and they wave their finished projects in my face, because usually they are super excited, proud of themselves for having completed something, and I get to live vicariously through them. I could quite easily sit in the shop day in and cast on all the things, but in reality if I did that I'd never finish anything. So it's lovely for me to see what everyone else is getting up to with the yarns that they find here in the shop. Yeah, so that is it for Baramu. I've got one final new yarn, which is a nice summer yarn, and I'm just going to pop this on pause while I grab it because I forgot to put it on the table before I started. Okay, nearly there. So I have one more yarn to show you and also a new book. So the yarn is by a company called Katia. I think they might be Spanish, but you know what, I'm not entirely sure. They're somewhere on the continent, and we don't stock a lot of their yarn. I have a little bit of silk from them, and I think that is about it at the moment, apart from this. The rep, bless him, keeps coming in and trying, but I definitely want to try and steer more towards British yarns where I can, but every now and then he tempts me with something a little bit different. So this time he came in with a new cotton yarn. It's in cakes, which cakes are the bane of my life because they're really difficult to display and they also take up a lot of room when you're trying to store them. But it's called Funny Rainbow, which is a bit of a funny name, but I have bought 4 colours of Funny Rainbow, if you can see them, and they come with a free pattern, and the pattern really, well, there's 3 patterns on this pattern leaflet, but it really shows off the beautiful colours in this yarn. So it's a gradient style yarn, or a striping style yarn, but the beauty of this Now, it takes a little while, I won't lie, to get used to. I'm going to see if I can pull up a strand from a... Can I find an end? No, here we go. So it's very, very loosely plied. I don't know if you can see that. It's quite easy to split. I will not lie to you about that. But I have several of my customers working with this. I haven't cast it on yet myself. And they are all telling me that it's worth the effort. Once you get into the rhythm of the yarn, it's no problem at all. You just have to be a bit more careful about your stitches and making sure that you catch all of the threads. But the colours are beautiful, and the reason I think that they are so attractive is, so each of these strands is a different colour, so that it's made up of 4 strands, and then as the as you move up the gradient, sorry, another customer interruption, and I've kind of lost my train of thought. I think I was saying with the reason that the colours are so lovely is that each time the colour shifts, one of the colours from here is sort of carried up to here, so you get a really nice kind of like mould effect. So yeah, this is proving to be quite a popular yarn. I don't know if I will restock it, because I think it's probably one of those things where, you know, once everyone has used it, that'll be that, and then they'll be looking for something new. But yeah, it's nice, and I have a fancy to maybe crochet with it. So I love this colour, which it's not really showing up to its best on the screen here, but it's blues, yellows, oranges, and I think it would look lovely in a contour shawl, which is a crochet shawl from the Shawl Society. I've made one before. It's a really simple 2-row pattern repeat, a sort of like asymmetrical triangle, and that was the first shawl I ever crocheted, and I wear it all of the time, and I think that one of those in this yarn would look lovely, so that could be on the cards for me soon. So yeah, that is the last of the new yarns. So if you have stuck with me, thank you. I've got one more thing to show you, and that is the new lovely volume of Interpretations. So Interpretations 5, which is a beautiful book from Pom Pom. If you are familiar with Pom Pom, they're a UK independent publishing house, and they have a quarterly knitting magazine, which is my absolute favourite, and then every now and then they bring out standalone publications. So this is a collaboration between Vera Valimaki and Joji Locatelli, and as the name suggests, there are 4 other volumes that have come before this. They tend to pick a theme for each volume, and then the designs are centred around that theme. So I will, I'm not as enamoured with this cover as some of the others, but that's just a personal thing. I love the back cover, love that photography, and I'm really taken with this oversized stripy jumper. I don't know if I'd ever have time to knit one for myself, but yeah, I really love that. There's another picture of it inside, look. Oh, gorgeous. So yeah, I will possibly, there's so many patterns in here, so many beautiful patterns, that I think perhaps this will be deserving of a separate review video as well. So I might get those done later in the week. Let me know what you think. Would you be interested in a review video? So Interpretations would be on the list, as well as perhaps the 2 books from West Yorkshire Spinners. But let me know in the comments below. I've only done one review video in the past, and that was from Rowan magazine. I did have some nice feedback on that, but I had a few things to say about that one, so I can't guarantee that my next review videos will be as entertaining as some of you found that first one. But if you don't know what I'm talking about, you can pop back onto the channel and go through the list of videos, and you'll find that review of Rowan magazine if you're interested. Okay, so I think that's probably just about it from me for this video. Thank you so very much for joining me, as always. I hope that you are having a wonderful day, and that you're able to find a little bit of time for yourself to do a little bit of knitting or crochet or spinning or sewing, whatever it is that you are finding joy in at the moment. And if you have enjoyed this video, then hopefully I shall see you again soon. Bye for now.